Your Hermes is Chinese, your Italian leather is Nigerian. Hi guys, welcome to Niger Delta. If it's your first time here, hello. If you're returning, welcome back. Before I start the video, guys, I want to ask that you please like, comment, subscribe, because less than 6% of you are actually subscribed to my channel. So if you enjoy my videos, you want to keep coming back and watching them, please, I ask that you subscribe. So let's go ahead and get into the content. So based on the title, you can tell a little bit what I'm going to be talking about. So today we're going to be focusing on three main topics: the China-US tariff beef, leather tanneries, and where your leather is really being sourced and produced. And finally, we're going to be highlighting an innovative luxury designer brand that I loved called Anima Iris, which I believe truly encompasses a lot of what this video will be talking about. So just sit back, get whatever snack you want to get, and let's just go ahead and get started. So I've seen it all over our TLs, all over Twitter, all over TikTok. You saw a lot of Chinese manufacturers coming out to expose a lot of Western brands. Now, what exactly pushed that forward? If you have not been paying attention to politics lately, President Trump decided that he was going to levy tariffs against certain countries and increase it by a certain amount, a certain percentage. Now, when that happened, China decided that first of all, they said they don't care, they don't particularly care, but the manufacturers decided that if that is how the United States were going to treat them, then they were going to come out with the truth and expose how a lot more than we know is being made in China. Like, we already think a lot of things are being made in China now, but even a lot more is being made in China. So you see on the tweet, you see, especially on TikTok, a lot of Chinese manufacturers coming out where they exposed not only just handbags, they exposed furniture, they exposed things for houses, restoration hardware. There were just so many Chinese manufacturers coming out talking about the fact that a lot of things are being made in China, but then Western countries plop their labels on it. But in this video, we're going to focus on luxury goods, luxury bags that are actually being made in China and then being sent to places like France, Italy, places like that, for them to go and plop their logo saying that they made it. But literally all of the sourcing, all of the building was done in Chinese factories. So I'm actually going to play one of the videos I've seen on TikTok that shows one of the Chinese manufacturers actually going after a really big brand, well-known luxury brand.
This Birkin bag at Hermes boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. What is the real cost out of the factory? To sum those up, the total cost will be 1,400 USD for one Birkin.
Now that we have seen the video, it bodes the question: are luxury brands like Hermes, LV, Prada, are they overcharging for their products? If it only costs about a third to make them, what exactly are they charging for? Are people obsessed with having brands from a particular fashion house? Does it make it seem like it's a lot better when it's associated with that fashion house? Also, what is it? This also makes us question, what is it about products being made in certain parts of the country that people don't like? Because when you think about it, a lot of times, especially in the US, people like to say, oh, it was made in China, as if though there's a negative association or negative correlation with something being made in China, because to them, being made in China equals cheap, equals low quality, equals not that great. But then now, when these manufacturers are coming out and exposing everything, it's showing, is it really low quality? Is it really cheap, bad sourced? Or do a lot of people have inherits bias depending on what country is labeled and what country is put on who made what, which is going to lead us to our next point.
The bags come from China, but the leather comes from Nigeria. The bags are manufactured in China, but the leather, the exotic skins, the snake skin, the alligator, it comes from Kano, Nigeria. Come on in, let's talk about it. Yes, because I love that the Chinese manufacturers are coming on here and asserting that they are producing these luxury bags and luxury goods, but also Black people have a hand in that manufacturing by way of tanneries in Kano, Nigeria. So a tannery is an institution, a business in which you are converting animal products like skins, leather, suede, alligator skins, snake skins, all kinds of exotic skins into textiles so that they can be used for goods, clothing, bags. And Kano, Nigeria is headquarters, world headquarters for this practice. And they have long since been headquarters for hundreds of years. So I interviewed during the pandemic a man named Winston, and he leads a business out of Kano, Nigeria called Winston Leathers. And they are actually a third generation tannery. So he confirmed that his tannery produces leather goods and exotic skins for brands like LVMH, so Louis Vuitton's portfolio of brands, Ralph Lauren, many other luxury brands. And I interviewed him on Twitter. I'll link to that thread so you can go back and read it. But yeah, he shared that this practice of providing exotic skins to the world, but specifically to China, goes back to the Silk Road, when traders in Mali were providing leather goods up through Morocco and on into Asia. Moroccan leather is known for its quality, and Winston actually shared that Moroccan leather can be traced back to Kano, Nigeria, and is actually Kano leather. So I love all the conversation that Chinese manufacturers have started around like amplifying that those goods are produced and manufactured in China. I want to go a layer deeper and talk about how Black people are actually contributing to the manufacturing as well, because the leather goods and the exotic skins that make up those bags that they're putting together in China actually started on the continent of Africa, in Nigeria. Okay, let's talk about it. If we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about all of it. And, sorry, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna put my brush down to talk about some bags that I love by Black designers. So this beauty is Antelope. This is by a brand called Brother Valet. A Black woman named Aurora James leads that brand. I still wear fur, don't kill me. I read a great New York Times article about how basically fur was phased out when Black women were able to access it in greater numbers. So basically, because Black women could access something that white people felt was exclusive to them, that's when they decided, oh no, vegan leather. And I am not a proponent of, inhumane treatment of animals, but I do love fur, and it is a part of Black womanhood, Black girlhood, rites of passage. We hand down fur coats. So I love a fur. Brother Valet has great bags, and they also benefit women in Africa who construct these bags. I want to talk about Hanifa. I can't get enough of Hanifa. I love Hanifa Muvemba as a person. And she is also a Black designer from the continent of Africa. She is from Congo, and she produces bags. This is a great bag. It comes in a larger size. It also comes in black, I believe, and maybe red. And yes, I love this bag. She sent this bag to me. Thank you so much, sister. Love this down and wear it. Okay. And we gotta talk about Loire. So Loire is headed by Raul Lopez. He is a person of color. And he's actually previously one half of Hood by Air. So if you're familiar with Hood by Air, they pioneered streetwear. He was one half of the duo who founded it and led it. So icon already. He circled back, okay, and hit us with another brand called Loire. This is the ostrich texture. This is 100% genuine leather. It's ostrich textured. I also have a smooth version of this bag in brown. And then I also want to shout out another Black handbag designer named Wilglery. She has the brand Anima Iris. I had the pleasure of working with Wilglery when I was at Amazon. So I was brought to Amazon. Many of you know I work in luxury fashion. Hi, I'm Shelby. I'm a costume and fashion historian, a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree, a Vogue Business 100 Innovator honoree, and a 10+ year veteran of the luxury fashion industry. And during my career journey, Amazon brought me over to stand up their luxury division. And so I onboarded luxury brands with an emphasis on Black luxury brands, okay, because And I got to onboard Anima Iris, and Wilguri and her team were amazing. Love her bags down, own more than a couple. They're not within my reach right now, but wanted to shout her out because her bags are still produced on the continent of Africa as well. So support her bags. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that, girlies, because it has to go without saying. Black people are in the mix with a lot of things, okay? And this is one of them. So just as China is making sure to assert their contribution and their attribution to the luxury handbag industry, I want to make sure that we assert and attribute Black people's contribution, which is specifically in Kano, Nigeria, via these tanneries. So yeah.
What if we told you that the luxurious Italian leather gracing high fashion runways all over the world actually begins its journey in Africa? For decades, global leather powerhouses in Italy, Spain, South Asia, China, and more have been very quietly sourcing their raw materials from northern Nigeria. The heart of the supply chain is in Kano State, the epicenter of Nigeria's leather industry. It's here where free-roaming cattle, goats, and sheep provide the hides that are transformed into high-quality leather goods. Think designer handbags, shoes, belts, things like that. The free roaming part is really important because that's apparently what promotes durability in animal hides and skins. Kano State alone exports about $600 to $800 million worth of leather goods every year, and the Nigerian leather industry is expected to generate over $1 billion by the end of this year. The region has been producing and tanning high-quality leather for centuries and has been the global north source for almost just as long, but they will not share the credit. In 2021, Vogue published an article revealing that Winston's Leather Tannery, a tannery in Kano State, had been supplying their leather to brands like Louis Vuitton and Ralph Lauren. And that's just one example. The article further explained how European laws dictate that when labeling where a product is made, the country where the final production process takes place is ultimately what makes the cut. So even if you bought leather in Africa, started working on the product in Africa, as long as the final stitch is sewn in Italy, that's where it's from. Nigeria has been producing the world's best leather for decades, but why would Africa get the credit for that?
As you've seen in those two videos, they talked about leather, tanneries, Italian leather, the myth of Italian leather. So we're going to continue and continue from where we were in part 1, which was, does the name associated with where the product was made deem whether a product is more valuable or not? Now, some people might say no, but in some people, if they're being honest, some people will say yes, because let's be honest, depending on what country it is, some people have biases against those countries, right? The same way the same people who like to buy quote unquote Italian leather, I wonder, would they necessarily decide to buy that leather if they knew it was made in Nigeria? Would they still have the same, oh, it's so wonderful, oh, it's so elite, oh, it's so prestige, if they knew it was from Nigeria and it was not from Italy? This entire thing with the Chinese manufacturers, the Italian leather, not the Italian leather, which is really Nigerian leather, the fact that all of these bags, even with the Chinese manufacturers, right, even the bags that the Chinese manufacturers are manufacturing, their leather is also sourced from Kano, Nigeria. It's sourced from Nigeria. So this boils to question, this has us thinking, do we all have biases when it comes to where products are made, even in Nigeria? Do we think a product is better if it's from abroad, as opposed to knowing it is locally sourced or locally made? And I think this entire debacle of the US tariffs, the global tariffs, has really forced us to look within ourselves, but to also pay attention to global luxury, how luxury is consumed on a global scale, and what is deemed luxurious and what is not.
The bags are manufactured in China, but the leather, the exotic skins, the snake skin, the alligator, it comes from Kano, Nigeria. I interviewed during the pandemic a man named Winston, and he leads a business out of Kano, Nigeria called Winston Leathers.
This is one of the bags that we've made using our leather from Nigeria. Super cute adjustable strap, really cute florals that you can customize on the side. Come with me, come with me. This is where we keep all of our Nigeria leathers. We have Abdullah here. So we do use a lot of leathers that come from Italy, but this batch of leathers in particular, I bought them a couple years ago from Winston in Nigeria. He sent me the photos. I said, Winston, I need them all. So when I first bought them from Winston, I was like, this is all gorgeous. And I love this pattern and I want all of them in this pattern. And I haven't used this leather in quite a while. So I'm actually so excited to bring it back to life.
Hot.
Isn't that hot?
Hot.
And then look at this one. It's like an orange.
Hot.
It's Esca Ultra avec le même. This is
I didn't realize the pink rock was Nigerian leather.
the grapefruit that everyone is so obsessed with. It's coming from Nigeria. And one of our most popular leathers right now is this grapefruit, and we're gonna cut it up and make our new rafette bag. This is our grapefruit rafette that Mbai is cutting right now. Say hi, Mbai.
And they're cutting. They're like making stuff now.
For the final segment, I want to focus on a brand that a luxury brand that I particularly love, that I feel that is the future of luxury designs, the future of luxury bag making, because she incorporates a lot of African artistry, African tanneries. So the brand I'm going to be focusing on is Anima Iris. Anima Iris is a brand that was created by the owner Will Glory. She's a Cameroonian. She has her own studio in Senegal with her own artistries where she sources her leather from Nigeria as well. If you do not know Anima Iris, these are some of the bags she creates, right? It's very colorful, very dimensional, very nice, different creative shapes, which I feel like really encompasses a lot of African designs. Because if you see a lot of African fashions, particularly West African fashions, Central African fashions, a lot of it is very colorful. Color in general in Africa is a big thing. So her bags are very colorful. The designs, the shapes are very innovative. And in a time where we have manufacturers from different countries, China, Europe, France, arguing about who really owns what, I think that we as the new generation should maybe focus on brands that are honest about where they're made, that actually when they say that brand is made in this place, it's actually made in this place. When they say their brand is owned by this person, it's actually owned by this person. When they say that brand helps this community, it actually helps this community, which is why I wanted to highlight Anima Iris. I've known about Anima Iris for several years now, but when we're talking about, now that we're focusing on talking about globalization and we're talking about the impact and where does Africa fit into the talk about luxury goods, luxury designer bags, somebody that is pioneering that space, particularly that I believe is pioneering that space, is Anima Iris. So I feel like we should put our dollars, we should put our support behind a brand that is for us, by us, and from somebody who actually believes in what they believe in. She's not a large corporation, but she has been able to build such a global, impactful luxury brand. And I'm really, really excited to see how far even more her brand will grow, with how easy and accessible information is nowadays, especially with all these things coming out on TikTok, and how we learnt about the tanneries in Nigeria. We learnt about what really is Italian leather. We learnt about where exactly all this leather was coming from. Why don't we support the source? Why don't we support brands that actually focus on getting it from the source and then benefiting those people there? Because she employs, in her studio, she employs Senegalese workers. She pays the Nigerian tanneries a fair price. So why not support those that support the people who actually make it and give them the actual support that they deserve. Why do we have to support very large corporations that a lot of times get very cheap labor by underpaying them? We don't have to do that. We can take our money, we can take our support to somebody who actually supports the locals, who actually feeds into the local infrastructure of different African countries. If you guys have made it this far, thank you so much. So I would like to ask, what do you think this means for luxury products and luxury production in the world? Will the African brands be the center of the shift in the new age we are progressing into? These are some of the questions I have. What do you think? Do you think that the tariffs well, for now, the tariffs have definitely impacted how we view luxury goods, but how would that affect Africa as a whole? How will that affect China? Do you think that this will have a shift in what we view as luxury? Do you think that this will have a shift in where people decide to spend their money? Do you think that we're going to see different countries, other countries, maybe China, Senegal, Nigeria? Do you think we're going to see those countries maybe come up more in the discussion when it comes to luxury goods, luxury fashion? Let me know what you think. And please, guys, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, please, because less than 6% of you who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So I would really appreciate it if you guys could please subscribe, so that YouTube can push out my content even more to more people. Like, share, and I really want to hear you guys' thoughts on what I had to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.